Welcome to another interview presented by Alabama Wrestling Forums. I'm Jackson Bass here with two-time 7A state champ James Latona. How you doing today, James?
Doing all right.
Great to hear. So let me start out by asking you, what got you into wrestling?
Well, my dad started a club in Alabaster called Warrior Wrestling Club. A lot of people know of it now. But before me, both my brothers wrestled, and seeing them wrestle made me really want to get into the sport. So I really started at a young age, and that's really helped me improve. Get the fundamentals down real early at a young age. So yeah.
So when you started wrestling there, I'm pretty sure was it Alvarado was the head coach at that point?
Yes.
So what did Alvarado kind of give you as a foundation when you started out wrestling?
Um, Coach Alvarado was really good with kids and stuff, and so he would put moves into terms that was really easy for younger children to understand, and was really easy for us to grasp. And so, things like when you stand up, he would say, "Squash the boat with your foot," and when you're finishing a double leg, look over your shoulder and look for Nemo and stuff like that. Just little things that would make you remember it. And he could say it in matches, and you know exactly what he was talking about. And just stuff like that would really help me get the fundamentals down really well, I think.
That's awesome. So, we kind of moved from youth into middle school, and I've had an interview with Yanni, and he kind of explained it to me a little. But how did Barnes kind of further your wrestling?
Well, I mean, Barnes is not only a coach to me, he's been a close family friend for a while. So, him and Coach Wilson, the middle schoolers are in the same room as the high schoolers, so we're learning the same moves. And I think, getting exposure to those high school kids in middle school, because I was a little more advanced, really helped me advance as well.
So you mentioned Coach Wilson. Coach Wilson is just probably one of the best-known coaches in Alabama at this point. I'd say he kind of edges Gadosh over at Vestavia as one of the best in the state.
Yeah.
Some people might disagree with me, but what has Wilson kind of brought to the table to add to what your wrestling is now?
I mean, he brings, a lot of kids don't have the opportunities that I have, as far as club, but not only club, a lot of kids can go to a club, but most kids really don't have the opportunity to go to such a great high school like I go to and have the, coaches that I do. And Coach Wilson is, I mean, he's a character, but he knows everything about wrestling. And, whenever I have a question about something, he always gives me an answer. He's always showing me new moves and new ways to improve. And Coach Pike, too, he's always watching my film and pointing out things to me and telling me where I can improve. And, they're both like encyclopedias of wrestling. So, you can really ask them any question about anything, and they'll help me out.
Definitely. And obviously a big person that's in your life and in your wrestling career is Shad Rizzler. I mean, I know, obviously I trained at Warrior for a couple of years in high school. Shad's just got this mindset that is unlike many other coaches. Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, I mean, he believes in just working hard, and I believe it too. There's no special formula to becoming great in wrestling. It's all about, that's what I love about it. It doesn't matter about your size. It doesn't matter about, how strong you are. I mean, those attributes obviously can help, or athleticism, but, you've seen Sam Latona, my brother, he's probably was the most unathletic kid in the Warrior Wrestling Club room, and he's a Division I All-American. So it just goes to show, he talks about that a lot, about how, it doesn't matter where you come from, how big you are, how strong you are. You can go as far as you want, and as long as you put in the work for wrestling.
Definitely. So your freshman year, you fell short. You wrestled a really tough Tyler Ivy in the finals as a senior, and you come back and you won 2 state titles. What is something that you changed into maybe your freshman into your sophomore year, knowing that you took that step?
Um, just training. I think the biggest thing is just keep on training. A lot of guys, whenever they take a tough loss, will take some time off. That's really not what you should do. You know, you get back in the room and you keep training. And I knew walking into the state tournament last year and this year that I mean, I was the best guy in there, and I deserved to have that title.
For sure. For sure.
One of the biggest things going into even a national tournament is knowing that you've worked harder than every single other guy there.
Definitely. And you mentioned your national tournament. You had a great, you might not think it was great, but a fantastic run at the showcase a few weeks ago. But, you lost to, I don't know if you know who the kid is really. You probably taken Jameson he's a Texas and an Oklahoma stud, couple times state placer. I mean, after you lose a really close overtime match against him, you've got to win 4 more matches to get third. What are you telling yourself to get through that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same principle as like when I lost my state title. You know, it is what it is. You keep moving and you just pick back up. You know, I mean, it sucks to lose, but nothing you can do to change it now. You know, you can only change the future, and you'll be a lot more proud of that tournament if you keep working hard and come back and get third.
Definitely. And, we talked about, you wrestle at Thompson High School, and Thompson High School just has depth when it comes to, depth is so key in wrestling when it comes to being able to win team titles. And, your 8th grade year, you were splitting time with Dylan, two guys who literally both have beat the number 2 kid, by at least 9 or more points in every match they wrestled outside of Dylan's finals. What was kind of going on there? I mean, I don't know too much about the situation.
Yeah, so me and Dylan wrestled. Wilson is kind of a big believer in letting us wrestle in tournaments rather than like in practice, because it's obviously different competing on the mat than it is in practice. But so we wrestled once at in a tournament in Georgia, I'm pretty sure it was. And he beat me in like triple overtime. It was ultimate ride out. He beat me. And then we were supposed to wrestle again in Huntsville. And I was beating a kid like 10-0. I ended up, he ripped me off his back, really strong kid, pinned me, so I didn't get to wrestle Dylan. But, that kind of sucks. I'm pretty sure that's my only high school and state loss besides my state finals match.
Yeah, and we talked about it. What was it? Damn. Oh, your brother. Sorry. So you had 2 Division I athletes as older brothers. What are you able to do? You were able to look up to them. How did having a brother kind of benefit you in your career?
They're able to – they've been through it all. They've been through the same kind of stuff that I'm going through right now, and they know how it's like, and they know, the best options. And so it helps me a lot to talk to them and kind of figure out what they did, and maybe I can improve on what they did and see training and try to replicate that in my training. And, not only that, but them coming back here all the time and beating the crap out of me is always good. And so having them has been a real advantage to me over a lot of people, I think.
100%, man. And you've been wrestling since you probably came out of the womb, man. You've been wrestling forever. How do you
since I was
keep
3 or 4.
Yeah. So, but how do you keep your goals in check all the time? I know plenty of wrestlers who started when they were 3 and they burned out by the time they were 10. What does it take?
Well, I mean, I think it's you gotta keep it fun a little bit, and I really enjoy just going in the room and grinding and working my ass off. And if you don't enjoy that, then it's gonna be hard for you to really go far in wrestling, because wrestling is one of my number 1 priorities. And if you don't make wrestling one of your number 1 priorities, then you're never gonna take it far, because the best guys are doing that, and they're getting those extra workouts in. And you get that in your mind. You got to know, all right, I need to do this because I need to be as good as this guy.
Of course. And, so I've got a segment on my show where I ask the hot button topics that are going on in Alabama wrestling right now. And my first
Okay.
question to you is going to be, do you think Alabama wrestling should be one division or multiple divisions? And if multiple divisions, how should we split up?
I think it should 100% be one division. I think that would bring a lot more depth to Alabama wrestling. I think it should be maybe a 32-man bracket versus 16, but I think that would be so much better.
So what if you had to wrestle somebody like Corey Land, huh?
I mean, it is what it is, Figure it out.
Exactly. I messed around with Yanni because he said that maybe we should do the individual and then take like top 3 guys into the next one. And it was funny because I was like, who won it at 5'6", 126? Oh, that was Corey. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but, it is what it is. And that's how you figure out who the top dog is. That's the only way you're going to get better is, you get so much better losing than you do winning.
How would you combat the argument that maybe somebody like I'm trying to think a Westminster Christian doesn't have the kind of resources that a Thompson High School has? How would you kind of base your argument off that?
I mean, they don't. I mean, but if you can get 5 or 6 guys or 7 or 8 guys, that get in the room and really work their tails off, then you can have a state championship team. I know that sounds like a lot, and it's easy coming from me because I go to Thompson, but, Thompson guys are always in the Warrior Room working our butts off in the offseason. And people only see a small portion of that when we're winning at state and winning these tournaments and doing good in these dual tournaments out of state that we go to. But no one sees the off-season work that we're putting in. Everyone wants to bash us because, those Thompson guys are always winning, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're putting in the work and they're not, and that's why we're winning.
100%, man. And my next question is going to be, do you think kids should be allowed to go to club wrestling in season?
I do, yeah. Personally, I do. But, I mean, other people feel differently, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, or else we'd be able to do so. But so you say you do. What would you kind of argue with somebody who would say, let's say I've been using Beauregard. Honestly, I'm sorry to any Beauregard people who watch this because I have no idea if Beauregard has a club out there. But what if Beauregard is like, oh, we don't have a club, so nobody else should be able to participate in it?
Listen, you can't say, I mean, you don't really have a club. We have guys traveling, from Arab, Southside, an hour, 2 hours away. In the past, we've had people travel from Central Phoenix City every 3 days out of the week. So, I mean, you can make excuses for yourself that you don't have a club, but if you really want to get in a club room, then you can get in a club room.
Definitely. So I got to ask, you got a Dylan LeSueur thing in the background. Is that because he beat you or something, or?
Yeah, no, it's not really. I mean, Dylan's one of my good buddies. I'm still friends with him, so it's just kind of a joke that we have, a running joke.
Okay, so I had a question from a viewer that we wanted to ask you, and he was gonna tell me to ask you, what's it like being in Sam Latona's shadow?
I mean,
being overshadowed by your brother.
I mean, it is what it is. He's a really good wrestler, and I'm proud of him, and I know he's proud of me, and so I think that I can continue to work and be as good as him.
Okay, for all my viewers, full disclosure, that was a joke. Wasn't a funny one because he didn't give me a funny answer.
I mean, I'm sorry. I get that actually a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of people think that I think that I'm wrestling in Sam's shadow, and because he's done so much for the sport and for the state of Alabama, it's just really not like that.
I mean, you were 2 completely different people, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Sam Latona only won 1 state title. So.
Yeah, that guy is terrible. He only won 1 state title.
Exactly. Okay. So before I let you go, is there anything you want to say to my viewers?
No, just if you're a wrestler, then make sure you're keeping on working in the off season, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. And thank you so much to you, James, for doing this interview. I always appreciate it when I get to interview somebody. So thank you so much. Awesome. See
All
you.
right, see you.
I want to thank James Latona for an awesome interview, and I want to thank all of you guys for all the support you guys give me. Keep liking and subscribing. Quick reminder, the drawing is still going on, so you still have time to sign up for it. So do that. It'll come out after the interview that comes out on the 5th, and then the drawing's actually going to happen on the interview that comes after the 8th, and it'll be on a live that's on our Instagram. So thank all you guys for everything you guys do, and stay cool, Alabama Wrestling.